Hi everyone, welcome, welcome. Listen, happy Monday. I did not come on yesterday. I don't even think I came on over the weekend. So, a happy belated Father's Day to all the fathers out there and to all the men that raised a child that wasn't their own. So that stepped in and was a father to the fatherless, so to speak, right? So, happy Father's Day to y'all also. All the godfathers, everybody out there, the uncles, happy Father's Day, right? And then also, listen, Juneteenth was yesterday. So happy Juneteenth, everyone. Well, happy belated Juneteenth. Yesterday and this weekend, I was with family. My dad is 83 years young, I like to say, and he will be 84 this August. He still does everything on his own. He lives by himself. He cooks for himself. He walks. He does everything. God bless him. God love him. And I just spent time with family yesterday, had a really amazing time. So I wanted to get that out there and say, happy belated Father's Day and happy Juneteenth. I hope y'all had an amazing weekend also. Listen, is anybody still watching Love and Marriage Huntsville with me? Okay. I'm watching Love and Marriage Huntsville. I'm watching also, excuse me, Love and Marriage DC, but I want to isolate them. I don't want to mix the two. So we're going to have a quick recap of Love and Marriage Huntsville. Listen, the guys go to Atlanta. Let me start off by saying this. I think the whole trip was messy. I think it is her name, Melkeisha. What is Martell's manager name? I'm gonna call her Mel for sure because sometimes they call her Mel, but there's an extension and her name is actually longer. But she's messy, right? Because if you know that the men have history in Atlanta, you know that Martell got himself into trouble in Atlanta before with the ladies, and you know now that his friends are actually supporting him, right? Three married men are supporting him. You mean to tell me you couldn't find any place else to do this wine tasting launch or whatever, and you couldn't do this event anywhere else, Mel? For that, she gets an F in my book for even having this thing in Atlanta. But with that being said, the mansion was absolutely amazing. Okay. I really liked the mansion. But let me say this again, and I'm not trying to hate on Melkeisha or Mel or whatever her extended name is. I'm calling Mel. But that dress that she had on the first night that they was in the mansion, it was tragic. It looked like an explosion of confetti. Okay. Am I the only one that did not like the dress? Did not like the dress at all? I thought it was terrible. And I also thought, too, her planning of it was really bad. Why would you plan to have just ladies at this wine tasting? It wasn't a good idea. I like DC, but for some reason, I can't get into Huntsville. You know what? See, I was originally into Huntsville, and Huntsville, they had me hook sync when they first started, and it was just the couples. And DC, DC is DC. I'm gonna try to come back on later to talk about DC. I agree with you. They did not need to go to Atlanta. Huntsville has way too many places. Michelle, Huntsville has way too many places. Plus, there's other states, towns, whatever she could have held this thing at. And she was messy. I think the manager was being extremely messy. And she had the nerve to tell Martell he needs to not be messy because he's building a brand. But yet, she is messy by bringing them to Atlanta one and then having this thing in a mansion and then having only women the first night of the tasting. Like, I didn't get that. So these women are there, and they're there for the actual tasting because what Martell said is, and listen, I don't know, I don't really drink wine, I don't drink, right? So I don't know this to be true, but I guess it is. I guess him and his manager did the research, but he said that females are the main people that purchase red wine, okay, and that purchase, I guess, red, sweet, dry wine. So they should be the ones, coming to this tasting. But if you're a smart business person, in my opinion, why not invite everybody? Because you want to cross barriers, right? You want to do something different. So you introduce the red wine and you say, listen, I know traditionally only, women usually buy this wine, but this wine is for everybody. And if you don't like it for yourself, buy it for your wife. So I would have had, a mixed bag of people there. Michelle, I'm glad you finally made it. Okay. I agree with you. They did not need to go. Yep, we read that. Way too many places to go. Hey, D, that was good. That was awful. Yes, Gamblers Anonymous. That was awful. Yeah, it was disgusting. Okay. The house was big enough for the wives to go. You know what, Michelle? I agree with you. The house was big enough for the wives to go. And so you made another good point there, right? So you know that there's history in Atlanta. So why not say, you know what, ladies, last time y'all were not there, we had a guys trip, and to show y'all that we're good, y'all could come with us, because yes, that mansion was big enough for a whole bunch of people and then some. And not that the kids needed to come, but the kids could have came too, and nobody would have bumped into each other. I mean, that was a mansion, right? So the ladies are there, and Martell knew that it was going to be all females. The guys did not. And so they get there and they're kind of a little surprised, right, that all of these females are there for this wine tasting. So they're there for the wine tasting, and they eat, they meet, they greet, they kind of all having a good conversation. And I will say this, I am happy for Martell building his own brand, right? Building his own business, making his own comeback, outside of being on kind of, for lack of a better word, I'm going to say Melody's coattails, right? So he's doing his own thing. And the fact that it's named after his grandmother, I think it's a nice idea too. Word in the street, Martell and the assistant had a fling years ago. You talking about his manager? Yeah, I won't be surprised if they did. She's a little messy out. At first, I liked her. I felt like she was giving him good advice. But now, as I'm seeing more and more of her, I'm not feeling her. It's something about her that I'm not connecting with, that I'm not liking, right? So they sit down for the tasting. They eat. They have a round table. Now, let me say this about Marcel. Marcel is definitely he's friendly. He some might consider him a little overly friendly to females, right? But that does not necessarily mean that he is cheating, but he definitely is overly friendly. So when we saw them doing the kind of the meet and greet at this mansion with the ladies for the wine tasting, they kept spanning to Marcel just introducing himself to, all the ladies, in addition to Martell doing it. But listen, Martell is single, right? So they kept showing Marcel kind of introducing himself to the ladies. I think they did that on purpose. It is what it is. They were there. So, and at this dinner, now this is what I like too, because this kind of connected to the business, right? So Mel, the manager, she pretty much asked, all the guys to kind of give like a little commercial, so to speak, to help Martell kind of sell the wine. I actually love Marcel's line. He said, "Wine down Wednesday." I thought that was pretty cool. Maurice said something nice too. And Lewis' little commercial was kind of funny. But the one that connected to me the most was that "Wine down Wednesday." And what I said to myself when Marcel said that, I said, you know what? It's a shame that he has all of these other distractions going on, because every now and then he really says some intelligent stuff and he makes sense. But I think it all gets distracted with the sprinklings of him, having infidelity within his marriage. But other than that, I think business wise, he's a smart person. And even in relationship wise, he says some good things. Now, the way that he gaslights his wife, that's a whole nother story. I mean, we spoke about that several times, but I do feel like Marcel has some good information within him, right? So now the next scene, we have a scene where Kimmy and Tisa, they meet at Black, and Kimmy's son is kind of there because, he works there. So they meet at Black and they're kind of concerned, and they're talking about the Atlanta trip. Yeah, so Marcel is very smart. He is. I'm going to give that to him. When I sit back and listen to some of the things that come out his mouth, it really does make a lot of sense. But again, the distractions kind of override that, and people look at him sideways because of some of the buffoonery that goes on and the way that he gaslights Tisa, right? So Kimmy and Tisa are talking about, the Atlanta trip and how, they're concerned about it, and they're concerned about the men revisiting a place that had so much not good memories for the ladies, right? It might have been good memories for the men, but it definitely was not good memory for the ladies, right? The ladies, it was like a falling out of a female group at Huntsville, this trip to Atlanta, right? It was part of the demise of Melanie and Martell's marriage. It caused a lot of tension last season with Kimmy and Maurice because of that picture and these linebackers and him saying he wasn't there, but then their picture came out saying he was there. And it causes a lot of tension between Tisa and Marcel. The problem I'm having with the ladies is they seem to think that Martell is public enemy number one, right? Oh, thank you so much for the super sticker. I really appreciate it. Thank you. I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. So they act like Martell is public enemy number one. And here's the thing: when you get married and you're a couple, your your loyalty, your respect, and everything has to go to your spouse. So even if Martell was a menace to society, even if Martell introduced married men to single women, it's up to that married man to say, stop. No, I won't. I'm not. I have a wife. This is not what I'm doing. But when your mate doesn't stop the nonsense and doesn't have respect for their own relationship, then what do you want? So Tisa loves to blame. I guess she has to deflect, right? She loves to blame Martell for a lot of the rumors, a lot of the shenanigans that are going on and the sprinklings that's going on about. But listen, the men have a higher level of responsibility. Your husband, your spouse has a higher level of responsibility to you, and they should stop it, right? So all the men kind of told their wives, like, listen, we know how to be married. We can go on a trip with a single guy and we can act responsible because we know how to be married. We know how to be in a relationship. But again, if you as a wife, you are so insecure about your husband, leaving town and going somewhere, you have to ask yourself some questions like, do I want to live like this, right? Michelle said, no one is putting a gun to the husband's head. They went and tried to be secretive about it until Tiffany brought it up. That is so true. Yes, they did. So right, you're exactly right. Nobody is forcing your man to do whatever it is he want to do, right? So Kimmy and Tisa are talking. They're talking about the Atlanta trip. They're asking themselves, like, why do the men feel like this is a signature vacation spot for them? And it's just like, and Lou and Tiff open. She said that they talked about how Lou and Tiffany are, allegedly open to new things in their relationship. So let's talk about Louis and Tiffany for 1.2 seconds. I think Louis and Tiffany, they have no storyline. And I think that this storyline of them having problems sexually, like sexual in their marriage, I think it's all made up. It doesn't seem authentic every time Tiffany talks about it. It seems kind of forced. And she's like forcing the conversation, like every single scene that she's in, about them having trouble in their marriage, as it comes to sex. And listen, they are practically still newlyweds. And again, I connected to Marcel when he said that. If in 2 years of marriage y'all having problems with sex already, where do you kind of go from there? It's only going to get worse, right? So Kimmy and Tisa, they're still talking. They're blaming Martell and they're shading Martell at this lunch. I don't know if you caught the shade. The shade was, they was like, how did he have a cookbook and he doesn't even cook? They also shaded him with the wine. It was like, well, how is he selling wine and he doesn't even drink wine? Now, I don't know if Martell doesn't drink, period. I'm not sure, but I know that this is about the second or third time that they mentioned that he doesn't even drink wine, but yet he has this product that he's pushing, his wine. And so I sat to myself and I thought, like, well, can someone sell a product that they don't even engage in themselves? I guess it is possible, but I think most people are more successful when they sell a product that, one, they truly believe in, too, that they utilize themselves. So we're going to see how this wine goes. But I think when it comes to a product such as wine, because so many people drink it, I don't think it's going to matter that he doesn't drink it if it's a good wine and he's selling it. But my thing is, well, how did he ever really test the product and know whether it was good, bad, or indifferent if he doesn't regularly drink wine to have compared it to some other wine? So it is interesting. But what was more interesting to me is them shading him, trying to, I guess, figure out a way to make a living. And they're saying pretty much what he should do and stick to is do something in the exercise realm, since he exercises all the time. He keeps himself in really good shape. So, it was interesting. It seems like they're stuck on the blame Martell train for their husband's possible infidelities, but it's not his fault. Martell is broken, just trying to make money. Mel was the brain of their business. Michelle, I wholeheartedly believe that, and we see it more now. We saw it more once Melanie and Martell broke up. Definitely we saw that she was the brains behind everything. Hey Sheila, thank you for popping in. I appreciate it. So yeah, so she was definitely the brains behind everything. And speaking of Melody, are you liking this Melody Cherie? I get it that she had to drop or wanted to drop, because she really didn't have to. She could have kept it if she wanted to, but she wanted to drop Holt from her last name. But this Melody Cherie, I guess it is going to take a minute to resonate and connect with me, right? It has not connected with me yet, this Melody Cherie. And if you notice, Melody doesn't seem to be a big participant in this show anymore. Every time we see her, it's like fillers, right? It's a filler scene with her and Kimmy going to lunch. It's a filler scene with her and Tiffany, talking about Tiffany finding her dad or wanting to have a baby or not having sex with her husband. And that's what kills me. Yes, thank you everybody. 53 in a row. Please, please, everybody, give me a thumbs up, hit that like button. And if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. Thank you so much. So it's like, Melody is not the same. We're not getting the same from Melody. I don't know if she has checked out, or I don't know if she just doesn't want to give up that much of her life anymore. I'm not sure what it is, but what I am sure of, Melody Cherie, we're not seeing much of her, and when we do, is not anything. That's my thoughts on that. So and Tisa admits that the rumors, before she kept acting like, well, I'm going to say this. Tisa act like when she is with her husband and he's gaslighting her, she acts like the rumors do not really hurt her, right? She acts like she's good. But she asked these folks to Kimmy and was like, it hurts me. It does hurt me. It does bother me. And she feels that people, she is really 10 toes down with this thing that people are jealous of her marriage. People are haters. And here's the thing. Do I think people are jealous? No. Do I think people are hating? No. I think what she has to realize is that you're on a reality show and you're putting out some content on the screen for people, and people are going to engage in comment. And that's how you have a show. That's how you have viewers. That's how you get paid. That's how your show gets renewed season after season. And unfortunately, once you put yourself in the public eye, you have to take the good with the bad. So, girlfriend, I'm sorry. I do not think that everybody's hating on you, your marriage. And I don't think that people even want to see the demise of a relationship. I think that's furthest from the truth. I enjoyed when all of those couples, that's what attracted me to Love and Marriage Huntsville in the beginning. The fact that these were actual couples who were married, and they were actually friends who were going to make an impact in the community with this comeback group and building up, housing and stuff like that. It was furthest from my mind that I wanted these people to split up, break up, and have all of these rumors in their relationship. From what I'm hearing from my cousins and friends in Huntsville, she does not want to film with the Holtz and Destiny. Yeah, okay, you know what? I can believe that. I can believe that wholeheartedly. But you know what? Here's the thing that people got to understand. sometimes, even though this is supposed to be reality and not scripted, we all know to some degree, right? They have to at least set up scenes. Now, what may happen in these scenes, they're not going to know until it happens, but they have to set up scenes. And my thing is, if you agree to do something like this, then even when you are in disagreement with someone, if you're keeping it real, go ahead and do the scene with them and let whatever be. Okay. But don't avoid scenes with them. But I guess in reality, if people you don't like, you are going to not find yourself in the same room with them. But listen, if you want to give a show, then give us a show and actually be in the scene with these people and confront these people. Yes, DC is also the same. It just feels real, not like the other shows. Yeah, it does. It's like crazy, right? Hey Gigi, happy Monday, Gigi and Chaff. I'm late for the review, but this episode was a mess and so not worth it. You know what, Miss Gigi? I'm gonna be honest with you. They're losing me. They're losing me, right? I don't have the same interest that I had before. Like now I'm continuing to watch this season just so I can see how it pans out, like how the end episode goes and how the reunion goes. The same with Love and Marriage DC. I'm not really interested. I'm watching just to see how it ends and how it goes and how they wrap this thing up. But it's definitely not like, oh my God, I can't wait till next week. It's definitely not that type of situation. So Tisa admits, like, the rumors are hurting her. They do impact her. And like I said, she claims and she swears, like, people are hating on her marriage and people just don't like to see a black couple together and happy. She has to, change her thinking on that, because that, in my opinion, is not true. And she said, oh, Tisa said something interesting, what a lot of people are saying lately, right? Because they have this theme on Love and Marriage DC also. So Tisa is pretty much saying that until she sees with her own eyes or someone physically like calls her, then she's going to trust, her husband, and she's going to stand by her husband. And the thing is, I get that, right? Because you don't want to go just totally based off of a rumor, right? You want to have some evidence. But the thing is with him is there's too many sprinklings going on. At this point, I get it. See with your own eyes and all of that. Martin Channel, thank you for coming by. I got a last week. Good to see you, Ms. Eva. Good to see you. And I love your picture there. I love it. So so my thing is that sometimes you got to investigate, right? And I ain't one for digging in nobody's phone, looking in people's DMs. But if I got something if you leaving me breadcrumbs, then every single day, then I am going to have to follow the breadcrumbs, and I am going to have to look to make sure that I'm not going crazy, and to make sure nothing is truly like going on. Hey, Miss B Carter, thanks for stopping by. I think she's staying for the kids. She's in denial. Oh, she's definitely in denial. I think she's definitely staying for the kids, but in addition to staying for the kids, I think, and this is not a bad thing, but I think that unlike Mel, in her situation, her husband is the mastermind behind everything, right? And so the demise of them, I think her recovery may not be as swift and as easy as Mel's recovery was in terms of finances, right? So I think there's a lot going on with her, in addition to the fact that she literally just, I think, he done gaslighted her for so many years. She don't know the truth from a lie. She just believes every word that comes out his mouth. I have not really been able to get on board with DC. It just seems phony, but I'll watch to the end, but not stress if I miss an episode. Miss Gigi, I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. Same here. Same here. T double agree. Yes, codependent. Yes, thank you for those words. Yes, she is codependent. Like she will not. Well, listen, I'm not saying not, but she's gonna have trouble existing in the world without Marcel. She really is. Like he's her everything. Too bad she doesn't seem to be his everything. Okay, so Marcel is definitely pulling the strings. I think he's staying for the kids. He probably is staying for the kids. I also think that he feels in his mind that I don't know if he feels in his mind that he's really doing anything wrong. And he's just a gaslighter. Miss Gigi, do you think Huntsville is more real than DC? Um, I, you know what? I don't. I think I do a little bit. I'm not sure. Hey, Michelle. Sorry, I'm late, Diva. Hi, Hey. So no worries. We're just getting into this about Tisa and her denial. That's a good way to wrap that up. She's definitely in denial. So the guys go to a strip club, right? And Maurice and Marcel claim that they don't like strip clubs. Listen, I get it. I have gone on a lot of group trips with a lot of different people, right? And I'm good. I can give into the greater good, because the more people you have, the harder it is to come into agreement with simple things like where you're going to eat lunch or dinner or what activity you're going to do, to the point where sometimes if the group is so large, you have to say, okay, well, y'all go over there and do horse riding and we're going to go shopping. You have to decide to split at some points and then meet up again later. But if I truly did not like going to a strip club, then I wouldn't have been at the strip club. And to be honest with you, although Maurice claims that he's not really into strip clubs, it looks like he was having a really good time, and it looks like he was way tipsy. Yeah. Yeah, yes, catch Huntsville. You gotta give it a try. Give it a try. Even though I'm gonna be honest with you, it's not as good as it was when it originally came on, but it's still okay. I'm invested in seeing how everything pans out. Tisa cares about the image of the marriage, even if the foundation is cracked. She needs to stay married. You know what, Nisa? That's a good way to sum it up. That's really a good way to sum it up. She does care about the appearance. And I think too that being that her mom, and her dad wasn't together, I think a lot of times when you grow up in, I hate to use the term broken home, right? When you grow up in a home where your parents did not stay together, right? So maybe it was a single parent home, or maybe it was a blended family home. You always say to yourself, like, you always think to yourself, like, I want to do better. Not that you're saying that your parents were so horrible, but you want to try to have a relationship where you actually have a home with two parents and, y'all stay together, so forth and so on. So I think that is part of Tisa's problem also, is that she, by any means necessary, she wants this family to work. I don't blame her for, I do not blame her for wanting to work on her family, right? Because the powder the vow say for better or for worse. But I think that her not even using her voice and her words in this marriage, I think that's like a problem, right? I think that she's going to lose a lot of herself if she doesn't start to speak up for herself. And I think that's what she needs to do. So guys, don't forget to hit that like button. I really appreciate it. Okay. So so the guys going back to the strip club, Maurice is tipsy. They're all kind of, throwing around their cash. And Lewis, because he has to, stick to their storyline, he kind of talks about how, he's sexually frustrated, right? And how do these two, Tiffany and Lewis, how do they go from we want to have a baby, or we're trying to have a baby, like that being their storyline, to that they don't even have enough sex now? Now, Tiffany claims, yeah, they're having sex, but he wants it so much, and she just doesn't have the time. Where does Tiffany work? And I'm not being fresh, right? Where does Tiffany work? Because the last reunion, there was some controversy over her job and her either being leaving or being fired. What exactly is it that Tiffany does that takes up 99% of her day, to the point where she can't even have quality time with her husband? And if I remember correctly, both of their sons are at least teenagers, right? And teenagers, for the most part, can fend for themselves. So I'm not connecting with their story. They were picture perfect last season, so I'm so confused. Exactly, Nisa. They were so picture perfect. They wanted to tell Marcel and Tisa how to live their marriage and how they could do better. They had all the answers for everything, and now they're not having sex. Like, I cannot with them. I don't believe Tiffany was. They are fake. I agree with you. They are fake. How do you want a child to sexually frustrated. Yeah, how do you go from wanting a child to being sexually frustrated? It does not make sense. It's a lie. They're lying. Miss Gigi, I agree with you. They're lying. And it's a bad lie, right? They can't even play this thing off, right? I feel like Tisa is a mini Mel. Tisa has copied everything from Mel: business, hair, fashion, even family. We don't need two Mels. One is more than enough. Miss B. Carter, one is more than enough. And listen, Tiffany in the fashion is not happening. Tiffany, yeah, is I'm gonna need her to get a stylist, okay? And the stylist doesn't have to be shown on the show, off the side. If y'all have to film like 13 episodes or whatever ahead of time, I would get my stylist. Listen, I gotta be in 13 scenes. Help me out here. Michelle, you said she don't work. Oh my God. Yeah, I feel like, I used to watch Martin and the character Tommy. They used to always question, like, where does he work? Does he really have a job? That's how I'm feeling about Tiffany. Like, where does she work? What is her job? She had time to go to the barbershop that time, so now she has no time. You know what, Nisa? You remember all the stuff. You bringing the facts here. You are correct, right? Yeah, she had time here to go to the barbershop. She was mad because she couldn't go get the haircut with the son, and it was a big deal, and she wanted to be part of these moments. And you went from that to now you just have no time. Like, it just doesn't make sense, right? What woman who has reared a child to teenage years wants to start over? Not many, not many. Okay, not many at all. Now, I had a friend who her two children were, well, I think they was like teenagers, right? And then she got remarried, and I get it, like, you want to, I guess, you and your new husband want to have a child together, but they had a blended family, a beautiful blended family. And she did want to have another child, and I want to say they did have a baby. I think, yeah, she's a cutie pie. But yeah, it's a lot of work starting all over. But you know what, that's when, unfortunately, for the older siblings, they almost become like mini parents to their little sibling, because they end up helping out a lot. I'm not saying they have to, but a lot of them end up helping out a lot, right? So here's this next scene. Tiffany and Melanie Cherie, right? And again, I said it earlier, but this Cherie thing has to connect with me. It hasn't connected yet. And here she goes, right? Louis is not a self-starter. Like, I have to start him. Louis is sexually needy. And that whole scene in that store, it was so forced. It was like, okay, I was like, I had enough, right? You said she ain't got no job, LOL. Kimmy here is always on point. You know what? Here's the thing I will say. I think all the ladies are beautiful. Okay, it's a good looking cast. I'm gonna say that overall. Overall, it's a very good looking cast, right? I think their makeup is always on point for the most part. All of their makeup is always on point. There's a lot we can do with the fashion. The fashion is not quite there yet. But yes, I think their face, they're like from the neck up, they're always on point. And you know who I really like the way they dress? I do like the way Tisha dressed. I think she always looks cute. She always, to me, has really, really nice outfits. Even when her and Kimmy met at Black, like her, she just had on jeans and a shirt, but I thought it was really cute. I thought it was nice. So yeah, it's great looking staff, and their makeup is always nice. So she's talking to Melanie Cherie, Tiffany. She's talking about this sexual frustration. She's talking about, unfinished business in terms of looking for her dad. I personally would rather she focused on looking for the dad than these other filler stories, right? I wish she would hire a private investigator. I wish she would have somebody really, really help her try to find the dad. But again, that could be a very tricky situation, because we saw the sad moment when Kenya was trying to connect with her mother that did not want to connect with her. To this day, that scene breaks my heart. That sexually needy comment was a bit much. I thought that was odd for a wife to say. It was odd for a wife to say. You know what? We tried it, right? I did not like Tiffany and Louis season 1, to the point where I was like, oh, they got to go, right? But Carlos King, God bless him, he gave them another chance. This was their second opportunity to make it happen, to make us fall in love with them, or to make us at least like them. I'm getting nothing from Tiffany. I'm not really getting anything from Louis. I'm not sure why they're here. I'm not. at this point. But you said I would like to see the dad story play out. It's more believable, at least. Yes, I agree with you. More believable. In my opinion, using has reached its expiration date for Tiffany. The storyline, sexual frustration, a child, it's all a lie. I agree with you. I agree with you. And Tiffany is actually, she's a beautiful woman too. But again, they're not finding their place in this reality TV world. And I think when it comes to reality TV, you have literally 2.2 seconds to get your life together, to make the fans love you, like you, or hate you. We got to have some feeling for you to keep wanting to see you. We don't have to be in love with you. We don't have to hate you in a bad way. There's a hate in a good way, like they pissed you off. But the first season, I think they just moved wrong when they talked about, Monster, and the way they did that, they rubbed people the wrong way. And I don't think, even though they have slowed down this season, I don't think they recovered from it. I really don't. It would be hard for Tiffany finding her dad, especially in Alabama. You know what, I agree with you, but maybe with a private investigator, maybe with, I don't know exactly how the adoption went about, right? So maybe with some more factors and details, she can really get to the bottom of it. Even when her and Mel went to look, I was like, they didn't do no deep dive. This was a joke right now. Y'all playing with our emotions. I don't have time for this. And then Tiffany's talking about how Lewis could potentially cheat at the Atlanta trip. And I'm thinking to myself, come on, girl, because he's not having, you said you're having sex with him. It's just not enough for him. Do you really think your husband is that shallow, that weak, that just because you didn't have sex 10 times, you only had it 2 times, he's going to go cheat? Girl, is this what we're doing? Is this what you're trying to do to us right now? Like, stop. Yeah, they were unlikable last season. Now they're overcompensating. Yes, they are. Girl, you coming with the words. Yes, they are. Overcompensating, and it's not working. Interracial relationships in Alabama, the secrets of mixing races. Yeah, I get it, right? I understood that part, which is still shocking to me. I mean, I guess it shouldn't be shocking, but it's still shocking to me that, people make a big deal about mixing the races, right? It's like, it's shocking to me. And I can get it how maybe when they had her, it was such a major problem. But I don't think like them being exposed, so to speak, now, for lack of a better word, like it would still be a big problem. I think it's more of, do I want anyone to know I had you? And does her father, is her father, I think the mom was white and the father was black, right? So do the family know about her? Like, we need more details. We need more details. And I think that should be their storyline and not the other nonsense. They're not finding out their place in reality TV world. They're in their marriage. They are an awkward couple with no TV presence at all. You know what, Miss Gigi? You summed it up. You summed it up. No TV presence. They do seem awkward together, right? Every conversation just seems like it's pressured. It's almost, you know what it seems like? It's almost like they was like, oh, we're doing a reality show. Can we find we need a man, we need a female, y'all gonna pretend you're married. That's what it seems like with those two. It's not cute. It's not good. There are probably no adaptation cause of that. No, there was probably no adoption cause of that. Oh, you're saying there's probably no real physical adoption paperwork because of the situation. It's a possibility, but somebody knows something, and we got to get to that somebody that knows something. And remember, obviously, we're not going to get any help from her mom, because remember, her mom stopped speaking to her once the mom told her it was one guy, and that guy turned out not to be the guy, not to be her dad. So that was kind of sad. So that's sad, right? Your mom stopped speaking to you because she gave the wrong guy. Awkward is a perfect description. Yes, they are they're awkward couple. They are, right? So that was Tiffany talking to Mel. Again, that scene was like a snoozer, right? It was like, all right, is this what we're doing this week, right? So the guys go to this outrage room. I've seen stuff like that before on TV. I heard about it. I never been to one, but again, that room was, not much happened, but Lewis talking about his sexual frustration again, and he took it out on the objects that he crushed. Marcel talking about his frustration with Miss Wanda, and we're going to sit there for 1.2 seconds. Miss Wanda, here's the thing: there are a lot of people in real life that have a problem with the in-laws being too much in the business. I think that when a husband and wife get married, not saying you neglect your family, but that is your new family, right? That is your new nucleus, right? That is your main priority, you and your spouse, right? And as a in-law, you got to learn how to mind your business. But part of minding your business is letting the other parties know, listen, don't come to me. I'm not saying I won't support you through different things that you're going through throughout your marriage, but don't put me all in the business 24/7 and then get mad when I respond to the business, right? So with Tisa, she allows her mother to cross boundaries on a regular basis, right? And so if she's going to decide that, you know what, unless I see it myself, someone calls me, or I hear it with my own ears, it's not going to matter to me. That's what she needs to tell her mom, and tell her mom, you know what? No matter what you hear or see or what picture you have, unless you see my husband's face in that picture, unless you physically have a video of my husband doing something crazy or someone called you, don't bring it to my husband and don't bring it to me. So Tisa has a major role that she is getting an F on, with stopping her mother from being too much in the business, right? Carla shall never give us an almost all men's episode again. Viewership will definitely fall off. It was boring. It was boring. You are correct, and I didn't even catch that, but you are correct. It was an almost all men episode, and I wasn't here for it. I wasn't liking it. It gave me nothing. Thank you for that, Miss Gigi. Especially back in those days, a white girl was never allowed to raise a mixed child. So they gave the child to the black couple who are very light skinned with no papers. My grandfather is half white and Indian. You know what? I can't believe that, right? I can't believe that. So it's interesting. It's going to be interesting, right? Tisa family is repeating her concerns. She put her family in her business. She definitely put her family in her business, and she needs to start, especially because she's going to almost put a blind eye to this situation, right? And listen, that is your business. That's your marriage. If you want to put a blind eye to it, then hey, put a blind eye to it. But then if you're going to do that, tell your family they need to put a blind eye to it too, because that's what you decided to do, right? So they're in this outrage room, the rage room. Lewis and he's sexually frustrated. Marcel is frustrated with Miss Wanda, and we understand why. And everybody's saying she has no boundaries, and she does not. But you know what? Y'all never checked her. Now, Marcel is not the one that needs to check her. Tisa is really the one that needs to check her. Tisa families, yeah, I read that. Okay, yeah. So yeah. So and then oh, this is interesting, right? So Maurice is saying that, his frustration is part of it is, with Monster. And let me tell you something. This is what I learned about these kids. What you have to do as parents, and this is just my opinion, you feed them everything they need to know. You always tell them what you feel is the right thing. To me, if you start an activity and I already paid for it, like an activity like basketball, dance, or whatever, at the very least, you're going to finish out that season I paid for. And then if you don't want to go back moving forward, then, we can have a discussion about it, but you definitely going to finish what you started, right? So Maurice is a go-getter. Maurice is he's gonna take the bull by the horns, so to speak, and ride it. And what his frustration with Monster is that Monster is kind of all over the place. And I noticed with at certain age brackets, some of the kids, there's some kids that listen, they're just laser focused. They know from birth, listen, I want to be a dancer, I want to be a singer, or I want to be a doctor. There's people out there like that, right? They just know from day one, and they stick to the plan and they achieve it. And then you have I'm gonna say, which is probably 80% of the world. They're not quite sure. Today I want to be a dancer. Tomorrow I think I want to do basketball. Next day you want to do acting. You don't want to go to college. You do want to go to college. Like all over the place. He wants Monster to be focused and listen, thank you. You know what? Thank you so much. Yes, hit the like button, everybody. I really appreciate it. Just hit that like button. So he wants Monster to be laser focused because that is his personality. He wants him when he knows he has something to do. He wants him to like just wake up and be ready for it. Let me tell you, during the pandemic, for a whole, I'm gonna say almost a whole year, my son, they did remote school, right? They did homeschool, like everything was home. And I came from the store one day and I was like, why is it so quiet in my house? Like he should be up on a computer. He's knocked out sleep. And I'm like, yo, how are you relate from remote school? I'm gonna choke you right now. Like, get up. So it's like you do have to constantly stay on top of the kids. You do have to understand that, these kids, maybe they're not going to be as motivated as you were. But I really feel like this. I think eventually, for the most part, they find their way. And that's again where Marcel and actually Martell was giving Maurice good advice when they was driving in the car going. I forgot where they was going, but they pretty much said, "Listen, he's still a kid. Lay off a little bit, give him an opportunity, and he kind of will, find his way." And I wholeheartedly agree with that. Now, the guys talked to Lewis about the whole sex thing, right? And Maurice was like, listen, years without sex. And he said, years without oral sex. He said, I just couldn't do it. And let me tell you this. I will say this. A great marriage or the beginning of any great relationship, right, is communication, is if y'all are sexually compatible. In money, we have to be honest here. Money plays a major role into a relationship, right? So you said I started over. I remarried my husband, had no children, and I had one. Oh, he had no children, and I had one. I had a son when my daughter was 19 and in college. They are now 33 and 14, and they love each other so much. Queen of Destiny, yes, it can happen. It can definitely happen. So that's a nice story there. 19 and 33 and 14, yes. And you know what? Those particular children, they kind of get the best of both worlds. I have a cousin who both her brother and sister are older than her, so it's almost like she's the only child, even though she's not, because by the time, like, as she was growing up, they had already went to college and moved out, so it was just her. She's spoiled rotten to this day, and I mean, and we're all older, but because it was like she was the only child, and her siblings actually was able to do so much for her, in addition to her parents, because they was already older than her. So it can work out. It's a great story. Maurice is probably one of those parents that pushes the child to do what they want them to do. A kid that's doing what they like, a kid that's doing what they like, you don't have to keep pushing them. You know what, Miss Gigi? You are correct. You are correct. When the kid likes something, they really want to be in it, they will be waking you up and saying, listen, it's time to go. I got to get here. Yes, because I've seen my son do it. You are correct. Yeah, thank you for writing that. So, yeah, so he was like, listen, in marriages, they become challenged when communication is off, when the sexual experience is off, and when money is off, right? But I want to say that Martell said this. I mean, not Martell. Marceau said this. And again, I agree with that. It's so true, right? He said 2 years and no sex or sexual problems. He said it's an issue. He said, but year 4, you're frustrated. He said by year 5, it becomes a major problem. And I kind of paraphrase him, right? And I really do believe that. Any problems that you're having in your marriage, if you leave it unchecked, it's going to become a bigger problem. And so, although I do not feel by any means that this storyline with Tiffany and Lewis is true, if it is true in any relationship, if you don't check it, it's a problem. being financially stable is sexy and a turn on. Yes, it is. I think that might be the problem. LL. Yeah. Being financially stable is definitely a turn on. And listen, I do not by any means like live this large, extravagant lifestyle, right? But I live within my means. Like, I said it many times before, like my home is small. I have 2 bedrooms and 1.5 baths. I do wish I had more bathrooms, but that's a whole nother story, right? So, and but it's a small house, but it's comfortable, and I'm comfortable maintaining what I have, right? So, yes, you're right. Being financially stable, it is sexy because that's a major worry off your back, right? When you're able to pay for your lifestyle. I understand that dynamic. I married a man with a darn near grown kids, and we have one, and they are 18 and 22 years apart. He was like their kid, and it was a blessing. They helped with him. Yes, it can definitely be a blessing. Yes, it can. Lewis seems like a placeholder for Tiffany until she finds better. Yeah, I can't figure those two out. I can't figure those two out. Last season, I just down outright hated them. I probably did like 3, 4 videos saying they got to go. They got to go. And although I'm not doing videos like that this season saying they got to go, this season they need to go for a different reason because they didn't find their way. And I don't think that they ever will, right? And that pretty much kind of wrapped up Love and Marriage Huntsville. It was like, blah, right? But then we had the nightcap with Carlos King. I said this before, and I throw the tidbit again. The nightcap with Carlos King is okay, right? And I do believe that Carlos King is in his own silent war against Andy Cohen. The only problem I think Carlos King is going to have is I don't know if the Love and Marriage, I'm going to call it, do you call it franchise or all the different branches of it? I don't know if it's going to take off like the Real Housewives of franchises did initially, right? I think all of them are kind of dying off a little bit now because it's a lot of the same. But I don't know if Carlos King is going to get to do a Love and Marriage Atlanta, a Love and Marriage this, a Love and Marriage that, because Love and Marriage DC is not giving us the that we need. I don't even know what the ratings are. I was supposed to, you know what? Before I do my Love and Marriage DC recap, I'm gonna go look up the ratings. I need to look up the ratings. Lisa, you said they still need to go. They do. They do. It's terrible. It's tragic, but they do. She wasn't financially stable at first. But you know what? TW, you reminded me of that. Yes, but again, that was the nonsense she claimed. Because remember, she claimed I cheated, but I didn't cheat it. I cheated when I was a teenager. Tiffany is phony. They're phony. They're fake. I can't do this with them, right? I don't think it will. He already losing. You know what? He is losing us with Love and Marriage Huntsville, and DC did not take off. Carlos King, he needs to do something, and he needs to do something quick if he wants to win this race that he's in by himself, but he's in it. Okay. So the nightcap, I'm not going to get too much into because Ashley and Quick Silva were there and Tiffany came. And it was interesting. I was like, okay, so we got the couple Ashley and Quick on the nightcap with Carlos King. But I said, why didn't Lewis come? Where was Lewis? Like, why was Lewis missing in action? So Tiffany is on the nightcap again, guys. Again, talking about their sexual frustrations. I had enough. Pink slip, Destiny. Okay, so Tiffany and Lewis are getting a pink slip. Destiny is getting a pink slip. Maybe a recast can pull us back in. Maybe a recast can pull us back in, or maybe if Melody actually engages, it can pull us back in. But Melody has disengaged. She disengaged from the vortex. She's done with us. And that's why the show is not giving us life. Financial stability is a major turn on and a blessing. Communication is it for me though. Lou and Tiff are just incompatible on all levels. I think she's through. He was going to be more than what she got. Yeah, it's not. It's a wrap with those two, right? Yeah, guys, don't forget that the like button. I like Love and Marriage Huntsville, but they need to let Mel go. She has no storyline. She has no storyline. She's done with us. I feel like she's done. And my thing is, if you're going to still collect the check, then you need to engage. It's not fair. It's not right. So, and then, like I said, Tiffany was on Nightcap. It was blah with her. Like, she didn't say much. And I'm going to end this, and I did a separate video, but I'm going to end this video with this. And guys, I'm planning on coming back today with DC, if I get an opportunity, but I'm definitely coming tonight with the Atlanta recap. So I want to end with this, and that Monique apology that she gave DL. You know what? Monique is what I like to call a special kind of different. And I said it in my video, and I will say it here. When you give an apology to anybody, but you want to blame them in an apology, you want to use the word if, you want to use the word but, you want to say, well, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have said what I said to you in the first place. It's not an apology. You might as well keep it, right? And so I pretty much think that's what Monique did. She gave this haphazard, lackadaisic apology that meant nothing. It was worthless, and she did it. It was all self gain, right? You know, many people were saying that 50 Cent forced her to apologize, but which be even worse, right? If she was forced to do the apology. But we can tell, or at least I could tell, the apology wasn't from her heart, because she said, I apologize to the family, to the daughter, and then she tags on to it to say, but I don't give DL any apology. Everything I said to him, I wholeheartedly believe. And, you know, she stuck it to him. So let me, she, oh, hey, Barbara, we're closing out, but I will be back. I will be back with Love and Marriage DC, and I will be back with, Atlanta, right? So you said Mo is full of it, and she only apologized because the big money made her, and she wants to keep what they were offering her. Inauthentic. You know what, Gigi? That is the perfect wording, right? She was inauthentic. Like, she was just messy. It wasn't genuine. She could have kept that. She could have kept it, right? It's just, you know, at this point, you know, not for nothing, I'm sick of her. As far as I'm concerned, Merlin is everyone's storyline. All of them say her name, and she's not even in the scene with them. Yeah, you know what? They say her name, but she used to hold her own. Melanie definitely used to hold her own. And now it's like, she's just like, I guess she's almost giving me, you know how towards the end, Nene felt like, listen, I built this house. I built the Real Housewives of Atlanta. She's kind of giving me, I built Love and Marriage Huntsville. Without me, it's not going to be anything. So y'all sit there, y'all work for your check. If y'all not in agreement with me, then oh well, goodbye. You know, whatever. She's giving me a little bit of that, right? Like, she's done. Like, if something's not going to go her way, then she's good with that, right? So all I can say is that I wish, I'm hoping that Love and Marriage Huntsville has a recovery moment, because right now, they're on the roller coaster ride, and the roller coaster is definitely downhill, right? You said Melody is over it. Yeah, I feel she's over it too. It's definitely on the downhill ride there, Love and Marriage Huntsville. Hopefully they will pull it through, but if not, Carlos King is going to have to figure something else out. Now, do I think he can go to Atlanta? He can go to Atlanta, but if he's going to get the same couples and the same ideas and the same storylines, I think it's not going to go anywhere. Yeah, they definitely need a reset. They definitely need a reset. I don't know how they can reset this and who they can go to. I don't know. But just like Love and Marriage DC, they could have did this show without Monique and Chris. To be very honest with you, they could have introduced us to these new couples, point blank, period, and they could have did it without the show. Now that Ashley, honey, she giving this TV, this reality TV, a run for the money. Melanie says she exposed for Martell and ruling him, so she's done. Okay. Sad to say, Carlos is pushing the messiness that is turning us off. You know what? He definitely is. He definitely is. He feels he has the formula, but the thing is, he has this old formula that worked when he was on Roa, right? When he was on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Any good business person knows that they need to evolve with the times. They know that they have to constantly stay on top of the game. And I think he's fallen all the way behind. So listen, guys, Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for hanging out with me. Don't forget on your way out, hit that like button. And I should see y'all a little later with my recap on Love and Marriage DC. But definitely tonight at 8, I'm going to do Atlanta. So I hope to see you there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.